Hello class, welcome to lesson 4.3, which is all about writing equations in point-slope form. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to write equations of lines in point-slope form, and you should be able to write linear equations in different forms. So, let's talk about what is point-slope form. Point-slope form can be written y minus y1. That y1 represents the y-coordinate in a point that you're given. Okay? So y minus y1 equals m. Remember, m is still your slope. And then m times the quantity of x minus x1. That x1 is your x-coordinate. Excuse me. Okay, so let's write an equation in point-slope form for the line that passes through negative 2, 1 with a slope of negative 6. Then graph the equation. So quick reminder, that equation for point-slope form was y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we have y, that first y always stays just y. Then we have y minus our y-coordinate, so minus 1 equals, what's our slope? Negative 6 times this first x also just stays x. So minus 6 times x minus a negative 2. So minus a negative becomes plus 2. So that would be the equation in point-slope form. Now we want to graph the equation. So we go to our point, negative 2, 1. So negative 2, 1. And from here, we use our slope to graph the equation. So we're going to go up 6 and over 1. And since it's negative 6, I can either go down 6 and right 1, or I can go up 6 and left 1. It doesn't matter which number you make negative, just as long as one of them moves in the negative direction. So then I connect my points, and I have my graph. Okay, so my equation, and then my graph. Let's try another one. So write an equation in point-slope form of the line that passes through negative 2, 0 with a slope of negative 3 halves, then graph the equation. So again, my original equation is this. That first y stays the same. Y minus, we have a 0, equals, our slope is negative 3 halves. We have x minus a negative 2 again, so that becomes plus 2. So you could, now we know our points. We go to negative 2, 0. We put a dot. We have a slope of negative 3 halves. So I can either treat it like this or like this. It doesn't matter which one you make negative. So I could go down 3 and right 2, or I could go up 3 and left 2. I just have to connect my points for my graph. Okay, so I start at the point that's given, and then I just use my slope to graph the equation. Go ahead and try this one on your own and see how you do. Hopefully you ended up with y plus 3 equals negative 2 times the quantity of x minus 4. If not, be sure to ask some questions or go back and re-watch part of the video. Okay, so let's talk about when writing equations. So if you are given the slope and 1 point, you only have 2 more steps in order to write the equation. And those 2 steps are substituting the value of m and then the x and y coordinates in. And then step 2, rewrite the equation in the needed form. If you are given 2 points, first you need to find the slope, then you choose which of the 2 points to use, and you follow the steps for writing an equation given the slope and 1 point. So you have, if you're given 2 points, you have 1, 2, this refers you to this half. So you have 4 steps to complete, okay? Maybe take a screenshot of that to help you remember. And let's try example 3. We want to take y minus 1 equals 7 times the quantity of x plus 5, and we want to rewrite that in standard form. Right now it's in point slope form. We want to rewrite it in standard form. So let's quickly review. What is standard form? That is our ax plus by equals c. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to get rid of these parentheses because I don't see any parentheses in standard form. So I'm going to say y minus 1 equals 7 times x is 7x plus, if I distribute that 7 again, 35. From there, I need to get my x and y on the same side. So I'm going to do minus 7x minus 7x. So then I have a negative 7x plus y. And there's a minus 1. I don't want that whole number on that side. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So now I have my 7x and my 7x cancel. My positive 1 and negative 1 cancel. So I'm left with negative 7x plus y on the left, and I'm left with 36 on the right-hand side. And that would be my standard form. And I know some of you don't like having a negative x, so remember you can always multiply everything by a negative 1 and just change the signs of everything, including the sign on the other side of the equation, or equal sign. Alright, let's look at part B. We want to write y equals 3/4 x minus 5 in standard form. So this time we have our slope-intercept form, and we want to rewrite it in standard form. So we have y equals 3/4 x minus 5. We want that in standard form. In order to be in standard form, I have to move my x to the other side, or I can move my y and my 5, but I prefer to move as few things as possible. So I'm going to subtract 3/4 x from both sides. So now I have negative 3/4 x plus y equals negative 5. And again, if I don't want to have a negative x, I can just do 3/4 x. I had a positive y, that's now negative. And I had a negative 5, it's now positive. So both of those would be correct. Go ahead and try this one on your own, see how you do. Hopefully you ended up with 2x minus y equals negative 11. If not, be sure to ask for some help. Let's look at example 4. We want to write y minus 5 equals 4/3 times x minus 3 in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite that on the right-hand side of the screen here. And then I want to get it from my point-slope form to my slope-intercept form. So I want it to look something like this. So what that means, I need to get y by itself, and I also need to get rid of my parentheses. So I'm going to start by getting rid of my parentheses. So I have y minus 5 equals 4/3 x minus, what's 4/3 times 3? My 3's are going to cancel, and I'm left with just 4. So minus 4. Now I want to get my y by itself, so I can add 5. I'm left with y equals 4/3 x plus 1. And that matches my slope-intercept form, so I know I am done. Part B, we want to write y plus 6 equals negative 3 times the quantity of x minus 4 in standard form. So remember, our ax plus by equals c. We have y plus 6 equals negative 3, x minus 4. So again, standard form doesn't have parentheses, so let's start by getting rid of those. We have y plus 6 equals negative 3x plus 12, because a negative times a negative is positive, and 3 times 4 is 12. And then I need my whole number on the right side of the equation and my x on the left side. So I'm going to subtract 6. So I'm left with y equals negative 3x plus 6. I'm going to move my 3x by adding it to both sides. So I'm left with 3x plus y equals 6 is my standard form. Go ahead and try to rewrite 3x plus 2y equals 6 in slope-intercept form. Hopefully you ended up with y equals negative 3 halves x plus 3. If not, be sure to ask for some help. And let's take a look at our last example for this section. Write an equation in point-slope form of the line containing side ST. So first let's find where are S and T. So here's S, and that point is located at 4, 8. And then T is right here, and that's located at 7, 5. We want to write an equation in point-slope form. So remember, thinking back to that screenshot I told you to take, if you just have 2 points, the first thing you need to do is find the slope. So if I take 8 minus 5 over 4 minus 7, I'm left with 3 over negative 3, which is a negative 1 slope. And then all I have to do to write it in point-slope form, I just need to pick one of my points. So if I pick my point S, my equation would look like this. Y minus 8 equals negative. It's like having a negative, if you want to write the 1 you can, but you don't need to. X minus 4. And if I wanted to write it with the other line, I could have y minus 5 equals negative times x minus 7. Alright, so both of those answers would be correct for the point-slope form of line containing ST. Now if we wanted to write an equation in standard form of the line containing ST, you could just take one of those equations and rewrite it in standard form. So if I took the y minus 8 equals negative times x minus 4, first, in order to get it in standard form, I need to get rid of my parentheses. So I have y minus 8 equals negative x plus 4, because I have to distribute that negative. And then I can add x to both sides. So I'm left with x plus y minus 8 equals 4. If I add 8 to both sides, I'm left with x plus y equals 12. Okay. What if I had used my other one? I'd have y minus 5. Didn't want to tee it up quite yet. Y minus 5 equals negative x plus 7. So again, I could have added x. So I have x plus y minus 5 equals 7. If I were to add 5 to both sides, I have x plus y equals 12. The reason I did that was to show you it doesn't matter which point-slope form you take to change into standard form, you should end up with the same answer. Go ahead and try this last problem on your own and see how you do. Hopefully you ended up with y minus 4 equals 1 times x minus 6. If you have any questions at all about that example or anything in the video, please be sure to ask. I'd be more than happy to help you. Have a fantastic day.